How's it going, VEXED family? Today I just want to talk to you guys about a challenge that I'm starting. For all of you guys and anyone else who comes across this video, or the video I'm going to post just like this on TikTok, as well as Instagram. It is the hashtag #MyStruggleStory challenge. Again, that is hashtag #MyStruggleStory. Struggle. Now, what this challenge is ultimately about is I want to hear about all of your guys' struggles. All of it. Tell me your life story. If you don't feel comfortable participating in this challenge, no big deal. But if you are and you want to participate and you want a shout out, by the way, anyone who participates and posts a video with the hashtag #MyStruggleStory will be shouted out on my Instagram story, and your video, which you're probably going to post on TikTok or YouTube, will be featured in the highlight reel on the VEXED Instagram page forever. Hashtag #MyStruggleStory. Now, like I said, if you want to participate, what you have to do is record yourself talking about your struggle in life, right? Talk about the things you've gone through, your mental health, addictions you've gone through, pornography addiction, drug addiction, nicotine addiction, weed addiction, video game addiction, whether you've gone through depression or anxiety, or whether you're still going through it, PTSD, insomnia, whatever your struggle in your life has been. There's no exclusion here. Whatever your struggle in life has been, everyone's valid. Whatever your struggle has been, I want to hear about it. And at the end of the video, I want you to give one piece of advice or one tip to whoever's going to be watching this, because my entire audience will watch it, and this is we're going to get this challenge big. The whole goal is to blow this up, to give people different perspectives on different lives and different tips that they can take with them, and a chance to share their story, honestly, above all else. But I want you to share a tip with these people about what's helped you through, or what's helped you overcome certain challenges within your struggle, right? And today with this video, this YouTube video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about my struggle, right? I'm going to be sharing you my story to set the example, set the way, and a piece of advice and tip that I'm going to give you guys, right? So I guess we'll get into that now. My story starts when I was a little boy, obviously, right? But first of all, before I get started, whether you're posting this on TikTok, you're obviously going to want to make the story kind of short. You know, I don't really care, but it's probably just easier for you. If you want to post a YouTube video, that's fine. If you do a YouTube video, I want you to send me the actual video file itself so I can save it and post it on our Instagram. Irregardless, back to my story. This starts when I was a child. I moved around my entire childhood for, my father's job. And what did this do? This caused me to be super, super lonely in my life. I was extremely lonely. I had no friends. I ended up making more friends online than I ever did in person growing up. And I spent all my time in a dark room playing video games. I found my purpose within those video games. I found my purpose in my solitude. I ended up not really liking people because I didn't really trust anybody, because I'd been betrayed so much, bullied. I was extremely bullied. So as you can imagine, I was depressed by the time I moved to Houston that was our 5th move or whatever. We moved to Houston, Texas. And as you can imagine, I became depressed by the age of 10 years old. Now, this seems silly to some people, but a lot of you do understand how this works. Like, anyone can be depressed. It's all just circumstance, right? To each their own. But I was depressed by 10 years old. And from there, it got worse and worse. Through junior high, it got a little better. I got a friend group, but ultimately I was betrayed. I was talked shit about. I was the one who brought the friend group together, but ultimately I was the one who was the most hated and excluded, right? And I still love some of you guys in that friend group. There's no personal beefs here. That's not what this is about at all. But throughout those times, a lot of betrayal happened, a lot of shit talking. And honestly, I wasn't the greatest of person either. I was a shitty friend to some people. I did some people dirty. I robbed some friends, not like by gunpoint, but I stole stuff from people. I was a pretty shitty person. And I'm willing to admit that. And I hope you're willing to admit something in your struggle as well. But I was a pretty shitty person. And get to high school, fast forward to high school, I only have a couple friends left, really, because you know how that works. By the time you're out of junior high, that friend group is just dissolved. So I have a couple friends left from that group. We're still hanging out. We're still getting along. I meet a new friend. I start getting into drugs. First time I was 15 years old. Sophomore year is when it starts out here in Utah. 15 years old. Started smoking pot, weed. Started smoking nicotine. Started smoking cigarettes. Vaping, going through 2 vapes a day, 2 disposable. If you guys remember the Oh man, the easy sticks or the puff bars and shit. I'd go through 2 or 3 of those a day. I started just experimenting and being stupid, and at the same time, I met this girl in high school, and we were on and off throughout the entire of the entirety of high school, and that relationship was extremely toxic on both ends. She ended up being manipulative, and she ended up, I mean, we're kids, but she ended up playing with my feelings, right, as I would have called it back then. And I ended up, starting to get manipulative and emotionally and verbally abusive. I'll admit, yes, I never laid hands on her, absolutely not. But emotionally abusive, I was absolutely. I was very manipulative. I was a piece of shit, and then it just went back and forth. It went both ways between me and her. And then you combine that with the drug addiction, right? I started experimenting with LSD and mushrooms, and I did DMT once, which not enough to actually have the experience if you know anything about it, but. Just doing all sorts of stupid shit. I started doing is trying pain pills here and there, drinking Robitussin cough syrup. I was the dumbest fucking kid ever, right? I'll keep in mind, this was like 15, 16 years old, sophomore, junior year of high school. And, we're fighting back and forth, me and my ex-girlfriend from high school. We're, getting back together, leaving each other, it was just drama. It was just a big fucking cycle of toxicity. And now this is nothing against her. I have nothing against her. It's all love to anyone that's ever been in my past, right? No matter who you are, it's all love. Nothing against her personally. We were just kids. We didn't know how to love. We didn't know that wasn't even, to be honest, who knows if it was even love at all. We were kids. Irregardless, at the time, I thought it was love, and it really fucked with your head. When someone starts fucking with you like that, relationship-wise, you start to become insecure. You start to hate yourself. You start to go off the deep end. You start to treat other people like shit. You start to do it back to them, and it reflects back to you, right? And this just caused a huge fucking cycle. I ended up becoming more depressed than I had ever been in my life. It was bad. Anxiety attacks, panic attacks. This is when I attempted to end my life multiple times. I was self-harming. I would go into, click off of this video if you're sensitive now, okay? I'm going to go into a little bit of details into my self-harm. If you're sensitive at all, this is your warning to leave now or skip forward. I would go into the bathroom I would take bathroom breaks during class. Keep in mind, I was a psycho at this point. Like, I had a lot wrong inside my head. Like, my spirit wasn't right, my mind wasn't right, my body wasn't right. I don't know what happened. I don't know if a demon got a hold of me or something, but anyway, I would take bathroom breaks during class and go into the stall and cut myself, and to ease the pain is what I thought it was doing. And if you've experienced self-harm, you know what that's like. It's just like trying to numb the pain, trying to escape your feelings, trying to distract you. And it's almost unexplainable unless you've actually experienced self-harm or wanting to self-harm, right? And I did that for about a year. Like, it was pretty bad. I still have scars on my body to this day, but at this point in my life, I'm not proud of them, but it's like, I look at them and I'm like, I've gone from some crazy psycho self-harming, not saying that you're a psycho if you self-harm, but someone who needed help, to someone who's a lot better mentally, a lot better. Someone who's able to help other people, right? You have to be in a good standing at least to be able to help other people like I try to help you guys. But irregardless, right? Self-harming. I tried to kill myself a couple of times, to put it bluntly. And I got in deeper into drugs, more acid, more LSD. I just really fell off the deep end. I had a horrible relationship with my family. I was extremely addicted to pornography. I was getting into these stupid little 3-week relationships with these girls, and overall, it felt like I was killing myself inadvertently, right? Which was kind of the goal in my mind at the time, unfortunately. And it's a struggle when you don't feel like you belong on this earth anymore. It's a struggle when you don't want to exist anymore. It really is. And you don't even understand what the light is anymore. All you know is darkness. And especially when you're lonely at this point, my senior year, I had no friends left. Me putting that girlfriend on a pedestal and prioritizing her over all else, over myself included, it caused me to lose all of my friends. I was a piece of shit to all my friends. I ended up just not even talking to a lot of them. I lost whatever friends I had. I had no relationship with family, no relationship with friends, and not even with her. Not even with myself. So you can imagine the existential loneliness I felt. Again, I just want to preface this because I know how victim mindset it sounds, but this is just my story of back then. I know now from, retrospectively looking back at it, it's a whole different story. But irregardless, at the time, yep, that's my story. And fast forward through high school. Let's get to adulthood. I'm only 20 right now. When I turned 18, I went into the construction industry, utility construction, whatever. You guys don't care about that. But I went into the construction industry and met some Mexican coworkers. This is not targeted at any race, by the way. This is just details of the story because I know how bad it's going to sound in a second. And one of them introduced me to cocaine. Asked me if I'd ever done it. I said no, but I'd be down to try it because at this point, like, I was a lot better mentally because I graduated, but still, I had darkness existing within me. Like, from the surface level, I kind of distracted myself enough to be away from it, but of course, I wanted to try it because, I was a drug addict. I was an escapist. I was an escape addict. I wanted to escape reality. And I got hooked for about a year on and off, a year and a half actually, on and off, hooked to cocaine, bad. I would be doing an 8-ball a night by myself on a work night until 4 a.m., wake up at 6 to 6:30 and go right to work again and do cocaine on the job site with these same people. This was, I don't know if I could consider this the worst addiction I ever had. It's definitely one of the hardest to beat, and it was definitely the most affecting on my life and my personality. It changed me into a whole different person. And I didn't even realize I was a whole different person until after I fought and, beat the addiction. I was a piece of shit person. And I struggled with that for a while. Got into another relationship that was a lot better than the high school relationship, but still there was some hints of toxicity and there was traumas on both ends, and it just didn't really work. There was chemistry at first, but there ended up not really being any at the end. And again, much love to this lady. Nothing against her at all. But it just didn't work out, and this fucked with my head too for about a year. This is what got me into self-improvement, that breakup. I started going to the gym. I started taking care of my health. I started taking care of my, fitness, like I just stated. I started to experiment with quitting nicotine, which was a first. I was a bad addict since 15, like I told you. This is my first, run at actually trying to better my life because I realized I wasn't a good enough person for this woman. And that's why this didn't work. I wasn't good enough of a person to make very many friends, to keep friends, to stay away from cocaine. I wasn't a good enough. I had to change the root of the problem, and the root of the problem was me. So many problems attached to myself because I was just problemed in general. But as soon as I started to improve myself, me as a person, that's when everything changed. That's when my life turned around completely. Now, right now today, I do more self-improvement on the daily than I did when I started. But I had more of an extreme feeling when I started. But it's just, you kind of learn these skills over time. You get better and better. You want to improve your situation in your life more and more and more. And ultimately, that's what did it. I don't know. I just became self-aware, out of the blue almost. It's like, I hated myself. I fucking hated myself. And I hated everyone around me. Like, I loved them, but I hated them. And I was sick of it. I was sick of hatred. I was sick of these demons that were attached onto me. They kept following me through every person I met, through every girl I dated, through every job I had, through every, experience, through every thought in my mind, through every drug addiction, through every whatever. They followed me, and I was like, I'm done. I'm fighting back. I'm going to turn myself around because I understand I control my destiny. If there's one thing that I am in this life, is I'm not in an egotistical way, but I'm smart. I lack common sense sometimes, and I've been a piece of shit in my past, and I've done stupid shit. But ultimately, I'm smart enough in like the self-realization aspect, right? I was smart enough to realize I can actually change my reality. I can actually go from this piece of shit drug addict who since the time I was 10 years old, for 17, 18 years, almost 19 years, almost 9 years of my life. Almost 9 years of my life. I hated life. How sad is that? Being a little kid, not being able to experience stuff because you sat inside all day, because you didn't like yourself, because you didn't like anyone around you, because of circumstances you couldn't even control. I was sick of that. I was sick of letting the universe control my destiny, because that's what happens. If you don't control your destiny, the universe will. And I guess that would be my one piece of advice to you guys. Ultimately, if you do not change your projection, your path, where you're going to end up, where your target goal is, who you want to be as a person, who you want to be with romantically, the body you want to have, the mindset you want to have, the mental health you want to have, right? The psychology you want to have, all of these things that you want to become and have in your life. and your presence, the self-love you want to have. It all starts with you, and you have to have a clear vision of it and act on it. This is yours. Start to rewrite your destiny, or the universe will. That's my advice. Write your destiny. Right? It starts on a piece of paper. It starts with a realization. Start it on a piece of paper. Why do I hate my life? Why am I experiencing these problems, these symptoms, this depression, this anxiety, this PTSD, this whatever. And I promise you, even though some cases you are legitimately the victim, playing victim, I'm not saying that you're not the victim, but acting within the victim mindset is never going to help you, unfortunately. I know PTSD in a lot of cases isn't your fault. I know that a lot of this stuff isn't your fault, like my fault. My depression, the way it started, wasn't my fault. But I had to take responsibility irregardless if I wanted to change it. So stop letting the universe walk you around. And start to decide your own destiny. That's my advice. Now, I really want to hear your guys' stories. Whether they're long, like this one, this was long, 16-minute video. Or if you want to post a short form video on TikTok, about, hey, I'm depressed, I go through this and this, my advice to you is this. It could be short as that. That is completely all right. Post it on Instagram, post it on TikTok mostly. That's where I would prefer it. Or that's where I would prefer to see it, right? Because it's just, easier to, navigate. And on YouTube as well. Remember, the hashtag is, you must do the hashtag so I can find your video. DM it to me as well. Both. You want to double trouble? You want to make sure I get this, okay? Hashtag my struggle story. No spaces. Hashtag my struggle story. I will post it on I have an Instagram highlight reel already made up for it, and it will be there forever on the profile forever. I want to hear your guys' stories. I want you guys to spread this. I want you to be the source, not me. I want you to be the source of inspiration for other people. I want you to help your community out, because this is a community. The reason that I don't turn this into a personal brand and just try to gain money and gain followers and have an infinite business, because we all know how personal brands work. Instead of doing that, instead of naming this account Bailey Paris Polo, that's my name, it is because I want this to be a community. I want this to be trusting. I want this to be about you guys, all of us combined, not just me talking at you, but me talking with you, me communicating with you. That's why I have a Discord up that's linked in the description. That's why I have a school community I've made, and I've spent a lot of time creating courses in, so that you guys can learn how to crawl out of your depression. So there's advice in there, so you can talk to each other, so that you can accomplish things. This is why I do all this. This is why I had this idea when I was 14 years old for a clothing brand that turned into this, because the clothing brand was supposed to represent mental health and what I was going through at the time. And the fact that I've gone through that and I got through it is even more inspirational, knowing that this brand is something greater than me. It's greater than all of us even. It's about the future of our children. It's about the future of the earth, the vibrational frequency, the mental health, the stability of humans, the self-improvement, because we all know the world is suffering right now, everywhere. Life is good, but the world is suffering. And I think that we can make a change, little by little at a time. Even if this video doesn't get a lot of views, spread your story, spread this video. We need to create awareness for the entire world. That is our purpose. That is our destiny. If you're watching this video and you felt a fire in your heart, you felt that light within you that you want to spread, that's how you know this is why you're on earth, to spread your light. That's how you know. That's your gut feeling. That's God talking to you. Whatever you want to call it, God, universe, source, your higher self, it's all the same thing. God is talking to you. Thank you guys for listening to my story. Thank you for sharing your stories. I'd love to hear absolutely every one of them. DM me your stories through video format. Post them with that hashtag, my struggle story. And I will see you in the next video of X Family. Much love.